Wainwright, good tackle. Cassisi to win it. Cassisi does win it.
Don is good.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Pears on a Pod. This week, we have a very, very special guest. But firstly, I shall introduce the man that has not only introduced us to the Inner Sanctum, but also to Shit Takes. It's Jack Hudson. How are you, mate?
You are getting better at these. Going well, mate. We're two in a row, and that was an abysmal game of football, but I think we'll get into that a bit later.
Yeah, no, there's no Cairns attitude in this podcast because the man we have for a special guest this week is none other than the premiership player from 2004. He is a four-time Foss Williams medalist. He's the 62nd captain of Port Adelaide. I speak of the 228 games, 74 goal. His Dom is good. Dom Cassisi. Dom, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, boys. Been much awaited. I've seen a few of your podcasts already, and I was wondering when I was going to get a call up. You know?
You're very high up on the priority list, Dom.
I was almost going to message you boys and say when I was going to get a gig, but you know, that'd be a bit weird.
We're absolutely up for self-invitations. That would have been elite.
Is that what
Jace Davenport did? Did the Eagle Killer reach out?
There was a few subtle wink, nudges to us, and we got the hint real quick. So that is pretty much what happened to Dav, and he loved it. But mate, what are you up to now since footy's been done? Been busy, I'll say.
Yeah, I have been. Pretty much in my finance company. So I set it up a few years before I finished playing footy. And then when I finished playing footy, I had to make the decision of stay in the game in some coaching role or do something different. And at that point in time, I couldn't wait to just step out of footy and do something totally different. So it's been about 8 years now. And business is good. Still involved down the club a little bit, which is good. Get my footy fix there. A bit of radio as well with Triple M. So couldn't live my life without some sort of footy involved, but it's a lot less strenuous than what I used to do.
I think as well, 8 years out of the game, have you noticed that you're still keeping that involvement in the game and really keeping one eye always on what the club is doing?
Yeah, always. Yeah, mate, you know, like the club, been there so long, you've always got a bit of a special place in your heart, to say the least. So, look, I've been involved. I've been lucky to be involved with the club with some footy department stuff, more strategic stuff for the last probably 6 years. And then now it's a little bit more player related, which has been good. So, so it's been good fun.
Now, we'll go back. Obviously, we had Tommy Logan last week with one of his major moments that he always gets asked about, being his mark against Hawthorn. Your goal down at Geelong. Run us through it, Dom, what was going through your mind. And I think you injured Tommy in the process, he said as well.
It was a remarkable day. So I used to get the job on having to play on Gary Ablett. And we played on it. I had to play on him, I guess, almost every time over the whole period that we came. We pretty much started the same time. And so you'd have sleepless nights the night before because he was such a freak. And particularly against Geelong, because like they would look after him too. So, you know, you're running alongside him, you're getting smashed by Scarlett and all the big boys there and Chapman. And so you're pretty sore by quarter time. But what happened was a few minutes before I kicked my goal, Gaz kicked the goal for them, which put them in front. And he dodged about 14 of us and made us look stupid, snapped our ankles, about 6 of us, and then just slotted this goal. And then after that, he was just ripping into me. He's like, you know, you had one job to stop me. You've cost you the game, and all the Geelong boys, all the Geelong boys are like ripping into me as well. So it was tail between the legs. He's thinking, no, he cost the group the game, and then luckily enough, the ball fell in my hands with a few seconds to go, and I always backed myself in on the left foot, and so I was sort of happy it was that I was on my left because I thought, you know what, if I miss this, you know, it's not that bad. Like, you've had a shot in your left foot. It's understandable. But when I saw it go through, it was amazing. So then I ran up to, I think Tommy Logan was closest to me, and I ran up to him, jumped on him, and he cramped up. As I'm on him, he's cramped up, and he's gone down. But you could hear it. The thing I remember most was you could hear a pin drop, like in that stadium. it was deafening. Like you just couldn't hear it. You could just hear nothing other than us cheering. And then we got back to Adelaide and had a good night at the old line that night. Remember that as well.
Surely you gave Gaz a bit after you kicked that goal after he was getting real into you.
Oh, I can't remember if I did. I reckon I might have said something, but we were so ecstatic with the win because it was so hard to win. That was when they had that huge run of not being beaten down there. Yeah, I don't remember really getting into him afterwards, but the scoreboard said enough.
Yes.
And Kenny was in the coach's box for Geelong that day, coaching the midfield. So I've spoken to him about it a few times. So good fun.
I was about to say, I reckon you've let a few people know about that goal over the years.
Oh, I have. Mate, it was a good moment in time, and I have. I've brought it up on a few occasions at a few round table dinners when when the mood's a bit serious. Just bring it back to yourself, you know.
Yes.
That's
I think Ant and I are very good at that, actually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, we do that every day. Tell us about like the left foot. I've always admired your left foot because until about, I reckon, 2010, even when you became captain, I always thought in my young head, oh, Dom's a left footer. Dom's a left footer. I reckon I had an argument with Dad one day saying, oh, Dom's a left footer. He goes, no, he's right, but he's very good on the left. What was it about? Was that a main focus growing up, or were you just naturally talented at having two good feet?
Well, it's actually a pretty interesting story. So I reckon I might have been about 9 or 10, playing local footy in Perth, and I broke my thumb on my right hand. So I had a cast and it was a bad break. So I reckon I had a cast for about 10 weeks. Couldn't play, but there was nothing going to stop. Like I was just love footy that much. I was just still training. And my coach at the time was really big on, skill. And so he was like, mate, you can train every session. You're just going to have to kick on your left. Because I couldn't guide it down on my right because of the cast that came over my thumb. And I even couldn't really hold the ball properly with both hands to drop it. So I was really relying on one hand to drop. So it was literally 10 weeks at the age of 10 of just I don't know how many bloody thousand kicks I would have had in that 10 weeks, just every day. And it was amazing. It just gave me confidence. And then I was just able to kick on both feet. So it was almost a blessing in disguise. But I was able to pull the left foot out every now and then. Was in a bit of strife. Yeah.
That's good because I remember Choco Williams, he was always huge on blokes being able to do the basic skills. So I'm sure that would have been a big plus for him.
Yeah, I think it might have been one of the things he liked early days. Choco was an interesting character. So yeah, he'd get us out there doing all sorts of stuff, skill-based work. And he's probably the best I've seen in that space, really working on your craft and breaking, kicking down to, every part, every element of the ball leaving your hand to connecting with your foot. So, I think the childhood stuff really, helped me as I moved on in my career.
Self-taught stuff. That's where you get to know your real self and your real talents, Huddo. I think you could learn a thing or two from that.
I was hopeless on my left foot. I really was.
Don't worry, I'm 25 and I'm still trying to know what my left foot looks like. But Dom, actually, speaking of Choco and what he liked about you in the draft, take us back to the draft night and all of those scenarios that were going through your head, and finally when you had that name read out of your pick.
It was actual relief because it was so it was myself. Back then I was obviously in Perth, and they invited 6 or 7 of us to the Channel 7 studios in Perth, and there's myself, Daniel Kerr, Richard Hadley. I don't know if Sandylands was there. There's a few other boys there. Anyway, so that morning of the draft, Carlton showed a heap of interest. And then the morning of the draft, Hawthorn rang, the list manager at the time, and said, oh, mate, if you're still there, I think they had picked 20-something. He goes, mate, if you're still there, we're going to get you. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm at the Channel 7 studios, cameras are there. You're with your family. Mate, by pick 25 or pick 30, everyone in the room had been drafted.
Oh.
So I'm sitting there, and they you can imagine, right? They just want to get out there and go and have a beer with their mates or whatever. So the 30s roll by. I was still sitting there. 40s roll by. And then I was like, this is just going to be embarrassing. Like, I've come to the Channel 7 studios. I'm not even going to get drafted. Like, it's going to be the biggest clanger of all time. And then Port came to pick 50 or 51. I can't remember. Yeah. And then read out my name, and it was just relief. Like, I was just at the stage where I didn't care where I went. I just wanted an opportunity. And West Coast and Freo were really honest at that time. They were like, we're going to take Curry. With their first pick, I think it was. And they were like, outside of that, our midfield's all right. So they were pretty honest saying that they weren't going to get me anyway. So yeah, mate, absolute relief. And then finally, a few weeks later, I moved to Adelaide, got on the plane and landed in Adelaide and walked back in those days, you used to walk on the tarmac. You used to land in the
That's right.
It was a hot day, mate. My thongs nearly got stuck to the tarmac. Couldn't even. So and that was it. Then I got my first taste of Port Adelaide.
Yeah, and did they have the house sharing sort of thing going on, or did you have a host family? Or how did it go when you moved over?
Yes, yeah. So I had I lived with Rob Snowden for about 6 weeks, footy manager at the time. Him and Anne and the kids, and then I moved in with the host family for about a year. They were in Semaphore. And then after that year, I moved in with Carr. So me and Carr lived together in North Adelaide. So that was an experience in itself.
Please go on. I'm very intrigued.
Oh, mate, where do you want to start? Jesus.
Wherever you can find. If it beats Logs and Fab's still in the KFC bucket.
Well, Carr never lost a showdown. Played in 10, I reckon. Only player never to play in a losing showdown. And we lived in North Adelaide opposite, near St. Dom's, the school, pretty much across the road. And then there's that church. There was a church directly across the road. And Kari, you wouldn't believe it, but he was a country boy from WA, really Catholic family.
Oh.
So he was even an altar boy growing up. So
wow.
So if we were playing on a Sunday in a showdown in Adelaide, he'd come and grab me and go, mate, we're going to church. We need to go to church this morning. So we'd go to church, walk back, and then go to the ground. And but yeah, he was an interesting character. But yeah, like living with him, you didn't want to get on the wrong side of him either. He's one of the funny moments was we played on a Saturday, and we had a win out that night. We had a big Saturday night, massive one, and have recovery down at Semaphore the next morning, and we went back to our house and. I was on one couch, Co's on the other couch, put a movie on, and like as you do with your mates, you sort of lean over the couch and just like sort of punched him in the shoulder, like just like a old side punch, and like didn't do anything. And then I was like, and we're hungover, and then so then I did it again. I was like, bang, did it again. He goes, mate, you do it one more time, I'll knock you out. And so I did it. I did it again.
Yeah.
And he did nothing. He did nothing, right?
Oh.
So watching this movie, and I fall asleep. I fall asleep watching this movie. And so while I'm asleep, he stood up over me on the couch, and he's just gone, bang, right in the jaw. Right in the jaw. And when you're deep sleep, and I'm like, mate, what are you doing? I said, mate, I reckon you've broken my jaw. Mate, I've got concussion. Like, I'm stunned here. And I was literally rattled. And he's like, and this was like 2 hours later. And he's like, mate, I told you if you did it one more time, I'd knock you out.
The different sides of Josh Carr. He's going to church on Sundays, but if you mess with him during a movie, he'll belt you. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, mate, and then there was obviously the Ramsgate situation, which is another one as well. So,
yep.
Remember, we jumped in a cab after it all went down, and I was like, mate, we just got to get home. It was a Sunday night. We're having a massive Sunday session down at the Ramsgate, and so mate, we just got to get home. And so we're in the cab heading towards North Adelaide, And obviously you end up going a bit like Hindley Street to cut into North Adelaide where we were.
Yeah.
So he's gone to the cabbie, he's gone, mate, just drive up a bit further. It's on Hindley Street. He goes, just drive up a bit further, we'll get out here. I said, mate, what are you doing? I said, there's going to be cameras in the car park tomorrow. I said, shit's going to hit the fan. We just need to get home. He's like, mate, don't worry about it. I guess, mate, I'm already in enough trouble as it is. We might as well make the most of it.
That is great thinking. That is good logic.
And like total opposite to what most other blokes think. And then, then we went out for a few hours more, and then we had to wake up to all the carnage the next day. But he was good. Like Carr was, all jokes aside, he was 2 years older than me. He was just, if you asked any player, who was your favourite player to play with, it'd be Carr. He set the standard for us big time when we were really good. And I was fortunate enough to be able to, I guess, sort of be mentored by him, live with him, and then and be around him. Yeah.
Another teammate that you obviously grew a big friendship with, Kane Corns, as well. Big mate. Firstly, what do you think of his new hair? And secondly, what was it like being Kane's teammate?
The hair's all right. I mean, whatever floats your boat. I didn't mind, man. It's a bit of a, it's I guess it helps him with his with everything he does. But yeah, me and Kane got drafted the same year, and I've been here for a few weeks, and we had trained down at Semaphore Beach. And then the club said, righto, back to the club. David Armfield was like, righto, just straight back to Albany, and we've got more stuff to do. So jump in the car. Mate, we're driving for half an hour. And I'm like, mate, I thought it was like 7 or 8 minutes to the club.
Yeah.
We ended up at the entertainment centre. So this guy lived in Adelaide his whole life and didn't know how to get from Semaphore to Alberton Oval. So he hadn't been over Brighton Road. I don't think he'd ever crossed over Brighton Road from Glenelg.
Oh, my God.
So then I had to room with Kane, and like OCD, right? So what would happen is so I wasn't allowed to touch the remote control in the room. We'd get on the bus. We'd land in Melbourne, get on the team bus, and he would sit at the front. Like the coaches sit at the front, he would sit as close to the front as he could. And then all of us, would sit at the back and have a laugh and whatever. And then as soon as we hit the hotel, he's flying off the bus, getting his bag out, straight to the foyer to get his key to the room, to get in there to hold the remote, to get the remote. Right?
That's good.
Then he would take the remote to the team meeting, so he didn't leave it. He wouldn't leave it in the room in case I'd get it.
Oh my God.
So there was times there where I'd ring reception and go, hey, look, there's no remote for the TV in the room. They'd bring one up, and we'd be in the one room, the two of us, one TV with a remote each.
Oh, that would mess with him.
It gets better. Like then we'd be like, because he'd like to go to bed pretty early. A few of us boys like to play cards or whatever, but you'd go to bed, turn the lights off, and he'd be like, it'd be dark, and you just hear Kane, mate, you're breathing a bit too loud. And I'm like, mate, like I'm better off being dead, mate. Like we need to be able to breathe to live. He's like, yeah, but it's just, mate, he's got to tone it down a bit. So we roomed together for a long time. I reckon it was about 5 or 6 years. So then luckily enough, the club sort of allowed us older blokes to be able to have our own room, and it was like winning Powerball that day.
You'd be in paradise.
Oh yeah. So but we had some good fun along the way. But Kane was he was the ultimate professional, which everyone knows about. But he's actually, he's got a serious side to him. But when he was in the mood to have a bit of fun, he was all right. He was good. Good.
I remember that because that was brought up in that old segment, Hutto, Renault Team Talk. And you could watch either side. You could watch Dom's and you can watch Kane's, and either side of the story was told. Dom, there was one question in that Renault Team Talk of yours that was asked. It wasn't mine, by the way. I actually did get on. it was asked what was the first thing, and I've always admired this about you, was the first thing that you packed in your kit bag, and you said tackles. And I look back over the highlights, you're a ferocious tackler.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, mate, straight away. Just the first thing you got to pack in your kit bag is your tackles, mate. You can't go to a footy game without your tackles. So put that in, then put your boots in. So that was a bit of a luck, but yeah, just but yeah, I don't know. It was just something that I just enjoyed, hunting the footy, and if the opposition had it, do your best to try and get it back. Yeah. So
did you have any rituals leading up to game day as well?
Not really. Not really. I mean, I go just a standard thing, like just you'd go for a walk. So I'd do the same thing like each week, but it wasn't like on game day. But it wasn't like I didn't have any superstitions or anything like that. I remember it was interesting. So what was massive was if I had to have a good night's sleep night before the game, and everyone thinks that they do as well. But I was young, it was early in my career. I was and we were in Tassie about to play St Kilda, and for some reason I did not sleep at all. I was that whole night could not sleep. And so I got on the team bus, and on the way to the game, I'm almost dozing off. I'm thinking I'm gonna have the shittest day here. I'm not gonna be able to play. I was in my own head. And then went out, and as you guys know, I didn't kick a lot of goals, but went out that game and kicked 4 goals and had, 20 touches. And I'm like, it was just it was actually a real profound moment. Because it was pretty early in my career. It was like 2003 or 4. And it just showed that, you can't have you can't have that precise preparation, and because sometimes it doesn't happen, and it shouldn't really affect the way you play anyway. So I just always remembered it as gone. There's a bit of a light bulb moment. So after that, I didn't have any superstitions. If I didn't sleep, I didn't sleep. It was just by the time I put the boots on, just go out there and do what you have to do. So, but yeah, I remember that clearly.
I remember that game. The Saints were flying at that point, 04.
Yeah, they were. They were going really well. They had, I remember I had to play on, I think it was Aussie Jones on half back, like that defensive forward role.
Yeah.
But I don't think he even knew my name at that side, so he didn't care about me. He'd go one way and I'd go the other. So. Yeah.
How outrageous is this, Ants? 21 touches, 4 goals, not one Brownlow vote. That's stiff.
That's stiff.
That's real stiff.
That was the same day. No, that was the same day Sean Burgoyne got his Guernsey ripped off, wasn't it?
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah. It was either that one or 2 years later.
Ran half the field trying to get a cheeky handball for a goal.
Actually, it was that game. It was that game, yes.
2004, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
absolutely
right.
Yeah.
York Park back in the day.
And what a year that was, Dom, 04. Run us through, firstly, prelim night and then the grand final.
Oh, the prelim, just the most high-pressure game ever. It was just, I get goosebumps now thinking about it, because it was just sickening. You were just sick in the guts. Because it was like a 2 or 3 year build-up with the pressure and all that sort of stuff. And we knew that, with our playing group, it was probably our last crack at it. Dimmer and all these guys weren't getting any younger, Gav and that. So, and we played so shit that first half. We just could not get our game going at all. Roger James, he just carried us that whole first half. And then, I remember Choco, it was the only time I ever heard him rip into Gav. And I reckon it was half time. And he ripped into him. And then Gav came out and obviously did what he did, responded. And then we sort of knew if we got over that the shackles would be off and we can go out and play pretty much our game on grand final day. So then the build up that week was massive. It was, but yeah, look back at the team, and we just had a really good mix of tough players and highly skilled players, and our key position guys. They were just, our spine was just, Treaders, Corns, Wakeland. Can't remember who else was there, but we're just so strong all over the ground.
That was I remember what was your reaction as well? Actually, when Gav kicked that goal, did you actually believe that went in? Because I still to this day,
no one did.
I can't believe it went in. I call it our greatest ever goal in the AFL, but
Yeah.
What was your reaction?
Oh, it was because it's one of those ones that Gav would always do at training. Like he's sort of like out on the flank, and he'd sort of be running towards the boundary. So we know where the goals are. He'd be running toward the boundary, and he'd get this reverse sort of swing on the ball. Like he was the master, So he just just flushed it and just knew he'd be able to like bring it back around there. So yeah, it was just relief though. Like that whole game, each goal we kicked was a bit of relief. But it went down to the wire, and then Sean's dive with a smother on with Guerra as well at the end. So it took everything. It was an ugly win, but we got there in the end, which is good.
And the grand final, that final quarter, like it was basically almost party time towards the end. Just how were you feeling knowing we're there, we've got the cup?
I was, mate. Yeah, so you're right. We were able to. I think so I watched it with a few mates, supporters, right? And they were like, I think when the supporters knew we'd won, it was a lot earlier than when we felt comfortable enough out there and thought we had it in the bag.
Yeah.
Looking back at it, watching the game, I clearly remember that we were still freaking out. Like 5-10 minutes after, we actually probably couldn't lose the game.
Yeah.
Because it was Brisbane, mate. You just didn't know. Like they could just turn it. They could just turn the game. So, but yeah, the best thing was we were able to enjoy it that last 5 or 7 minutes. I think it might have been after Dewey's goal or Kinger's. Might have been Kinger's goal, I reckon, in that last quarter where we knew we had it. And that's when you'll be able to run back to the centre bounce or to position, having a chat to the boys, going, how good is this going to be? So sort of, so we're able to really enjoy the moment. And then the celebrations after were good fun as well.
Did you feel? Go back to earlier in the game, the quick start with 4-2. I think we were 3-0. They've missed a couple early, and we were sinking ours. Josh Carr kicking the first goal of the game.
Yeah.
What was the nerves like during that first quarter? Playing in a grand final and just looking around, going, "I'm at the MCG playing against the best team over the last 3 years."
It was really daunting running out. Like the nerves running out were huge, but once that ball bounced, because there was so much going on out there, it was a classic. Like there was punch ups, everyone was on the lip, everyone was smashing each other. So it was like you didn't really even have the chance to like get nervous. Like you were just so highly, you're just on high alert. Like you just didn't know whether every time you got the ball, you didn't know if you're going to get smashed or what was going to happen. So. I think we just got into work mode pretty quick. Like I think all that stuff, those few early fights and punch ups and stuff, I think it just got us all into the groove of righto. Let's just try and get the job done. But I remember, our team was just so mature at that stage as well. When I look back at my career, there was times where we weren't a good team, and if you come down to the rooms before a game when we weren't a good team. Everyone's yelling, trying to pump each other up and bumping into walls and all sorts of shit. But then in that 04 year, the year 03, 04, if you come down in the change rooms, everyone was just calm. There was no false bravado. It was literally, there was this unique feeling that we just knew that if we all did our job, we could beat anyone.
Yeah.
We just had that level of confidence and trust amongst each other. And I probably didn't experience that again until 2013, 14, when we honestly felt like even if we were 4 goals down, if we just took the game on, that we could get over the line, and we showed that as well. But out of a 15-year career, I reckon there was maybe 2 to 3 years of being in that zone.
That tough period that you mentioned, obviously, becoming captain, which would have been huge for you. But what was it like being, first of all, becoming captain and then being the leader during that really tough period and leading us really through onto the other side?
But again, mate, we're in the number one. The history that we have with the number one jumper at the club, and it's pretty surreal. It's it's just the most amazing thing. Every time you put it on, and it was a huge honour. Then during those tough periods, it was just about trying to keep the boys together. which was hard at times because we're going through a bit of a rebuild. So a few of the older guys got their nose out of joint a bit. So there's some hard conversations there to try and make sure that people weren't making it about themselves. It was about the club, and we had to stick together. And the main thing was, my main thing was just try and keep the younger guys together so that they wouldn't leave. You know, that was the only way of getting out of it. It was by Boki and Robbie and these guys staying. And like when you look back at it, you know, everyone moves clubs so easy. Like a player gets, you know, he thinks he's an on ball, he's not getting played in the midfield. I want to trade. I want to go somewhere else. You know, look back at that period, like Robbie and Boki and all that. We had like no one going to the games. Really, you know, we had tarps around the stadium. I think, you know, Brett Duncanson, we had no like president or board really that was strong because Brett, you know, parted ways with the club, and then Matty got the sack, and it was just like we just tried to stick together. And Robbie and Boki, like they could easily have left. Like they, you know, like I remember saying to Boki, I said, mate, I can't polish a turd, mate. I said, I actually don't even know what to say to you to stay, other than the fact that you'll be the next captain. And I don't think there's going to be any other better feeling than taking the club from where it is now to winning the flag or playing the grand final at least. So that's the only thing. And to their credit, they stayed. And that's why, in my books, they're just legends of the club. They're the main reason why our club got back on. And I know Koshi and Kenny came in were great, but you needed that key talent to stay as well, to have some players that can that are at the top end, you know, A graders.
2013, what changed? Like that off season, obviously we know the personnel that changed, but how can it go from the disaster at GWS into we're playing finals and beating Collingwood at elimination final?
The back half of 2012, or probably the last 6 weeks, it was really clear. We put a lot of pressure on the play. We actually put a fair bit of pressure on the playing group.
Yep. And
you actually made it really clear who was on the bus and gonna, you know, be committed to the club and who'd had enough, which made it really good for the club to be able to go, you guys go, and we'll just work. Like we just got to that point where we just had to get rid of a certain amount of players. Those players were disinterested at the club for whatever reason. They're not bad people or anything. It's just the way it was, and they just needed a fresh start, and we didn't need them around the place either. We weren't going to go anywhere, and they weren't going to go anywhere with their careers. But mate, the biggest thing was, was J-Mac. You know, what happened then with J-Mac at that end of 2012. Like you just, you know, you go through, you play footy, you know you're going to get injured, you might get concussed, you're going to get delisted one day, but you never ever expect for a teammate to pass away. And what that did was that just really brought us together like brothers, you know. And Kenny came in and inherited a lost group, but he was just like a father figure to all of us. Like he just created this clear path. He made it really simple. You know, he was massive on us doing all the little things really well. You know, and sticking together and you know, Burjo came and we got super fit. We were pushing the boundaries at training. But I reckon the biggest thing was the closeness of the group and the trust we had amongst each other based on what we went through. Nothing compared to what J-Mac's family went through, but that's J-Mac's legacy. Yeah, he brought us back together big time. Yeah.
That would have been, I can't comprehend how difficult that would have been during that period. And then obviously the GWS game the year after, the corresponding game where obviously Matty Primus got the sack, and then round 2, 2013 is the J-Mac Remembrance game, which was a special night. But that was also the night where the crowds came back. I think there was 26,000 people that night, which is double what we've had, I think, all of 2012, really.
Yeah.
Talk us through that night in particular, because I think even though it was J-Mac's Remembrance game, having the crowd there and just having this celebration would have been pretty perfect.
Yeah, it was, mate. It was it was a momentous night. You know, it was because you know J-Mac was only he's at our club for a year or two, but just to you know, he's just a great lad. Like he just fitted in so well. And he had you know, footy aside, like, you know, kicks and handballs and whatever, he actually had a pretty big impact on the group. So it was good just to, have that, and more importantly for his family as well. But yeah, that just changed our perspective on things as a playing group as well. Like what we needed to value, value each other, the time you have together, make the most of it, and that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it was 2013 was Kenny's first year, correct? Yeah,
Yep.
and then I think that was the first year at Adelaide Oval, or was it 14?
Last year at Footy Park.
2013, no, it was too, because we had all those come behind wins. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
So we just, we built our confidence that year. But one of the highlights was that first showdown at Adelaide Oval in 2014. That was just, that was one of the best days in South Australian football, I reckon.
Yeah.
And the thing I loved about it is that from day one of pre-season, Kenny started talking about it.
Yeah.
Like he was talking, like coaches go, it's just another game. Nah. Like he was day one of pre-season, he mentioned it. He's like, that's history, and our name's gone up on that wall. And mate, we could not wait to get to that game. And so I look back at the Kenny's 2013 and 14. I finished halfway through in 14 were the most enjoyable years of my footy career, apart from 04, without a doubt.
Wow.
Yeah.
That last game, your last game, like the farewell game, playing against Melbourne, and weren't playing that well. Got to thank Jay Schultz. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Schultz saved us. That geez. Yeah, you forget how good he was too with his set shots and that. He was just a gun. But that was just an ugly game. Like it was not too different to probably the other night against Kilda. It was just
goodness.
But we got the 4 points. And that's what the other night. Like the boys got the 4 points. It wasn't ugly. It was ugly. It was messy. But you just bank the 4 points and you can build on it. And then we beat Melbourne because I think we'd lost a few games leading up to that.
Yeah.
And then the boys started getting momentum again off that leading into the finals, 2014. So, so that was a fun day too. Like just thanking all the supporters. Kenny, it was a little bit overwhelming in the way that Kenny and KT made it a big week. They flew my family down, and they didn't have to do that. But they went over and above to make it a great week for me and the family, which I'm always grateful for.
Was it always a decision to finish round 18, or was it trying to push to the end of the year?
So we knew it was me and Kenny have just real honest conversations. And it was in that pre-season, we sat down before I think, I'm trying to think when I had, trying to think it was 2013 or 2014. The Christmas break, I got viral meningitis, I reckon it was, and over Christmas, and had some soft tissue injuries. But anyway, we sat down before the season started. We knew it was going to be my last year. Mm-hmm. So we had that discussion. And then got to the stage where I just couldn't, and Burjo's training program was full on. Like just, there was no respite for someone, for the older guys. It was just everyone, it was survival of the fittest. Everyone had to train the same amount. And I had issues with my knee and soft tissue. And so I was always playing catch up. And then when I strung some games together, I just literally couldn't recover. Like I was just going into a game sore from the previous game without training during the week.
Bloody hell.
And I was one of those players that I wasn't blessed with, extreme talent. So I had to train. You know what I mean? Like I got my confidence from training. Yeah. And a lot of players do. It's only the superstars that can probably not train for like Buddy. He doesn't have to train. He'll still kick six, but that's few and far between. But so I wasn't training. And then, so me and Kenny sat down and said, he goes, mate, I said, no, I'm sore gone in games. He goes, look, this is what we're going to do. He goes, just play home games. He goes, we'll just say you're injured. So, for the next month, you're going to play 2 games. And then that still didn't really work. And we had young guys coming through, and it was really interesting. In your first 50 games when you're out there, you feel so uncomfortable. Like you're like, I don't belong out here. Do I belong out here? And then you feel so uncomfortable out there. And that was like my last 10 games. I felt so uncomfortable out there. I felt like the game gone past me, which I had. And so I just went to Kenny and I said, mate, I said, I'm done. So I don't have it mentally or physically. He goes, yeah, you're right. And then that was basically it. Played the last game. So it was the good thing with Kenny is that you always knew where you're at. Like he just honest discussions all the way through. And that's all you can ask for from a coach, you know. So it was good. It was actually a good moment. It was a lot of relief actually once we had that conversation.
Take out prelim, take out the grand final. What was your favourite win throughout your career? Was it that Melbourne one, or did you have a different one?
Definitely not the Melbourne one. I reckon one of the best wins was there was that showdown where we came from behind.
Was that the Monfries bounce?
Monfries bounce.
Yeah.
But I reckon there's probably three. I reckon there's the one that the Monfries one that was an iconic game. Yeah. There was the first showdown at Adelaide Oval, but for me, I reckon 2013 when we beat Collingwood in the MCG in the first final.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that was, like we like, mate, 2012, like we were just basket. Like, like everyone knows where the club was at. And that 2013 year, like just the whole year, we just, come from behind. We had so much spirit in the team. We had so much run. We had so much X factor. And then to go there, because we're still quite a young group, but to go to Melbourne, MCG against Collingwood, and beat them in the first final, that was just a massive step. Because, mate, only 12 months prior to that, it was when, we were lost, mate. Like, J-Mac had passed away. If someone had said, you guys will beat Collingwood in a final at the MCG in 12 months' time, mate, you'd go, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah.
So, it just represented a lot of things at that time. That was just a great game. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that win was so unexpected from so many people that it makes it even more sweeter. And what makes it sweetest is 4 minutes to go when Schulte slots it, and you've got half the stadium emptying because the Collingwood fans are going home.
Exactly right.
God, that was good beat. That was so good beat.
Yeah, it was good to beat, actually. That was that. And then I reckon as well, one of the better finals, I don't know if you remember, Dom, I think it's underrated, is the 2007 qualifying final against West Coast.
Yes.
At Amy.
Yes.
I think there was 45,000 there that night. And obviously we finished second, deserved the home final, probably weren't the second best team of the year. But I feel like that night, to overcome a 4-goal deficit and, just the way we handled ourselves was, one of the better wins as well.
Yeah, and it was. I remember because that's when Cuzzy did his hammy, I reckon.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Juddy had busted groins, I think. I just can't remember, but anyway. That was an epic one as well. I remember that one. That was because their midfield at that time was bloody hard to beat, and we thought our backs were going to be against it. But yeah, it was a good one. But yeah, and a personal favourite from mine was probably Carr's last game. Like my best mate lived together. His last game was a showdown, and we were struggling at the time. His last game was a showdown, and we beat him, and I won the medal that night as well. So it was like, for me, like it was more of a personal thing with your best mate. To be able to do that, send him off after a showdown win was awesome as well.
Yeah, you were a showdown medalist, weren't you? I forgot about that. I should have put that in the intro.
Like I said to you, I'll let you know a few things if you missed it.
He did get the 3 Brownlow votes that night, well deserved as well.
Yeah.
But
I can't believe I've forgotten that. That's not good.
That's right, mate.
Good segue.
I've got your back, mate. I've got your back. I'll let you know.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I think I did it pretty well as well. Like, didn't come across like a full-blown flog and say, like, I won a showdown medal. I sort of like made it about Carr, but it was probably more about me.
Yeah.
I won the medal that night, but it was Carr's night. We sort of went back together and had a massive night.
Oh, that's bloody good. I think it's a good time to segue into our bit of port merch.
Yes, I think it's time for the random port merch. This is a segment, Tom, that's been happening for about 3 weeks, and it's already become number one, simply because Tom Logan absolutely loved his collection of footy cards, and he wanted this to stay in. And I think Hutto you should kick off this week.
This is outrageous. So I've got many port fracks, right? So Logs gave me a bit of shit for my Planet Teal hat last week because it's just a hat. And Ant showed up in big Adelaide oval frame. But I have, and bear with me, the 2001 Ansett Cup Premiership.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Look at that.
So probably not going to fit on the webcam, but how good is that?
That's a real beauty, that one. See Derek Murray in there.
There's a few boys. I think Roger James up in the corner just got left out of the bloody photo and has no idea what's going on.
I think he might have been added in after. Maybe it was
a bit of Photoshop. But yeah, so that is my random port merch for this week. And it was a bloody good night. We beat the living shit out of the Lions, and that's what you want.
That's the night that Stewie Jew kicked 4 goals in a row in the second quarter, and they were all outside 50, I think.
Yes, you are absolutely right.
I've got that on VHS, I reckon.
VHS?
Yeah, we're going back.
That's some
Dom,
Crows Premiership stuff.
They're bloody cassette bands.
Oh, random port merch. Not really. Nah. I'm trying to think what I've got. I mean, do you throw the Premiership tattoo in there? Is that port merch?
We'll count it.
I reckon that's a start.
I want to see the Showdown medal. Where's that, Dom?
Well, mate, I'm surprised you haven't seen it because it's it's behind the glass at Adelaide Oval in the museum there. They've lent it off me on level 2 somewhere, I reckon.
Oh, shit.
So I can't even pull that out, mate. I can't even pull that out at dinner parties. Tried to break in there a few times, but I can't remember. But I remember one year I think one year came I think it was 3rd or 4th in the BNF, and they're like, come up, like, you go to the stage, get your award. These days you get boys get like a nice watch or,
Yep. Just bear with me. I'm trying to put the bloody frame back.
They get a travel voucher for a couple of grand somewhere or whatever it is. So go on stage, and they give me a DeWalt drill. So got given a DeWalt drill, which was kindly donated by Bianco back in the day.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So anyway, still use it, but that was pretty funny. Walked back to the table with the boys, and what did you get, man? Pulled the drill out. So that was the base. I think the club was in a bit of financial strife at that point.
Come forth and the BNF get a drill. Do you get a drill at Footy Ant when you get a best and fairest?
No, I get a round of drinks and good on you. See you next year. That's all I get.
Yeah. Well, not far off, really.
I'm expecting a bit more this year, Hutto, considering I've got the skipper tag on me. But look, Dom, I've got this, and it's a bit random because I remember back in the day you could buy DVDs of games. Name a Game used to be the biggest website, and I used to love when $25 popped in the account because you could invest in a game you'd remember for the week. And this one, you can't tell by the cover, but it is the Port Adelaide versus Hawthorn round 13 game at Amy Stadium in 2005, which is the biggest Port Adelaide win in AFL history.
And you know what's funny?
What's that?
Also bought that game.
Did you?
I've actually got that game as well.
It's great to watch because I just love watching. I love watching Treaders kick 7 in the year that he debuted the white boots. I think everyone copied white boots after he got it.
Yeah,
but then also Stewie Jew's goal from the boundary, which didn't win goal of the year that year, but should have.
Yeah,
he had a good night that night too, Dom. I think he kicked a couple of snags.
Maybe might have. Don't know. I don't. My memory's not that great with a lot of the games, but
stitching up a bit.
Yeah, no, good though.
I can loan you the DVD and watch it back if you want.
No, I'd love to get it. The other memorabilia I've got, I'm just thinking about it, which is just my drinks cupboard, right? Is these, right? The Travis Boak, and the Robbie Gray.
Oh yes.
Right, so I'm gonna 250 for Robbie, right? I'm gonna tell you a story about this, right?
Here we go.
So,
yes.
Because I'm still paying these off. Like I had to remortgage the house to get these. So I was down in the club about 2 months ago, and Paul Stewart's going on Fridays, and Paul Stewart, who's a welfare manager there and good mate and former teammate, he's like, mate, before you go, come and get your port backpack with your polo, and he goes, I've got a few other things in there for you. I said, all right, no worries. So I got to the and so I got the bag, and he goes, mate, here's a post-it note with the bank details, right? I didn't really think much of it.
Mm.
So I got back to the car, and the backpack's full of these. So there's about 20 of them in there.
Mm, cool.
And on the post-it note was the bank details, because I had to pay $10.50 for each one. So I had to pay $250. I was like, I paid footy with these bastards. Didn't even get asked if I wanted to buy any. I got given a bag full of them, and then with a post-it note. So, boys, I've got heaps of them. Right?
Look, I'm actually interested.
$10.50 for one of these.
Well, I'll send you the bill because I'm more than happy to take the Bokey one.
Yeah, I'll take the Robbie one. Dan can have the Bokey one.
Yeah. So
we love Travis,
right? A couple $100 I donated towards someone's bank account for these.
You paid someone's shift off.
Oh God. Mate, it's the Porto Footy Club's just a gift that keeps on giving, you know what I mean?
Oh, that is incredible. Oh, jeez.
I love that because that's so stingy, but that's so funny at the same time.
Nah, it's all good. That's how we roll down there, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Get first, pay later.
That's it. Yeah, worry about it later.
Hutto, I reckon we go into the next best segment on the potty, and that's quickfire questions.
Oh, yes. Yes. I love this.
Dom, this is where we question our guests about the most controversial questions, and it's all about your taste. It's all about what you're interested in. And because we know you're such a character, we'll start this off with your favorite Simpsons character.
Homer.
Good
start. So the last few weeks, I will give you a quick rundown. This question was on ice. Like, we were about to put it away. It's going to be dropped for the next week because everyone hated the Simpsons that we've had so far. Logs wasn't a massive fan. Davenport said Hutto was on his own island.
Yep.
And Jezza Clayton, what did he say? He said something else about how Hutto.
Walshy ripped me. Walshy was on it ripped me.
Oh, Walshy, that's right. Walshy said that not everything's about Hutto. So,
which fair.
Glad we'll take the fact that you said Homer.
Yep.
Okay. Your favorite TV show?
Geez, it's a tough one, isn't it? There's been some classics. I don't really watch a lot of TV at the moment.
Go some old ones, Dom.
You'd have to go. Favorite TV show. Can it be something on Netflix or not? Or doco?
Yeah.
Or is it just
Whatever
on
you
free to air
like.
TV? Okay.
Yeah.
Drive to Survive. Formula One.
Yes.
Netflix.
Oh.
Can't get enough of it. But I was going to say,
Good.
Better Homes and Gardens, but I thought that's just not. Sean Bergman, me and Sean talk about it. Sean loves that. We talk about it all the time.
Oh, this is legit. Oh my word.
What, Better Homes and Gardens or Drive to Survive?
Better Homes and Gardens.
I have a lot of questions. I'm not sure I want the answers.
Okay. What's the next one?
Drive to Survive. Big F1 fan, are you?
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
That's good. I'm very happy to hear that. Karaoke song, what's your go-to?
U2, Beautiful Day.
Oh, tune.
Great.
Good.
I love
Good.
it. Listening that to the car today, it was very nice.
So was I.
Yeah.
Your favorite flavor potato chip?
Honey soy chicken.
Ooh,
Not bad. Not bad.
The honey
Classic.
soy chicken. Yeah.
deli.
Deli. That's the one. Yeah.
All right. Now these next three questions are very difficult to answer. Firstly, are you a Maxi Bond fan, and which end do you eat it from?
You got the ice cream end.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you eat that first. Yeah.
So it's because in Perth they're called giant sandwiches, right? They're not called a maxi bon.
Oh.
Yeah, just as guys. But so because at one end they've got, just remember, at one end they've got the ice cream with the biscuit. Now then, what was the other?
That was chocolate. That was just chocolate and ice cream.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. No, I've messed that one up. So.
No, that's fine. What bloody Western Australia and their weird ways? Just call it a giant sandwich.
The giant sandwich, mate. That's right.
Right.
The
There you
giant.
go.
I'll rate that. Probably the most controversial question of the year in the world is: what is there more of, Dom? Doors or wheels?
Doors.
Yes.
Yeah,
Good.
good man.
Right,
Good man. No logic with that either, Hudson. Which
That
is
just
great.
went straight to it.
Yeah, that's
interesting one,
very good because Davenport tried to convince us about the one and only reason, which is his, and then Logues just basically denied everything that Davenport said. So it was real. It's a real good listen. And
Good.
finally, Dom, what is your favorite shapes flavor?
Chicken crimpy.
Yes. Yes. Dom.
Hello. Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
I don't think I've celebrated that hard in a long time, even when we won on Saturday.
I reckon I've got some here. It was in some in the cupboard around the corner.
Yeah.
There's the Vegemite one's no good.
Yep.
Don't like the Vegemite shapes, but the chicken crimpy's classic. You can't go past them.
Oh no.
What's yours, Ant? Ant, what's yours?
Barbecue.
That's so standard.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So standard.
This is my favourite episode.
That's all that nonna pulls out when you go to a house. and you got to check. The worst thing is, my nonna's pulled out the barbecue shapes many times, but they're out of date. You check the date on them, they're 3 years old.
Dom, did your nonna bring out the inner biscuit, the chicken back in the day? The inner biscuit ones, you know, the ones that you could come out with like the cut in like hexagon shape or whatever.
Oh, can't remember.
Dixie drumsticks. Oh, mine used to have
I remember the Dixie drumsticks. Yeah, they're amazing. Yeah.
Oh. I don't think. No, chicken crimpy. No.
I'm so happy.
We've had a run of barbecue, Dom, and it's been good fun.
I'm glad I can mix it up a bit. You know?
I said to Ant last week that I reckon he would get a full 22 of barbecue shapes fans before I'd get one crimpy, and the next week Dom is good. There we go.
See, I've gone up in the stand. I've gone up in your rankings, mate. A few notches, I reckon, on the back of that.
Well into the top. Absolutely.
No, I don't want to talk about it anymore because all I'm going to hear about for the next week is, Dom's got chicken crimpy as his favourite.
He's right.
Yeah, this is getting a brag later, but I think we'll just move on into the next segment, which is the pair player of the week.
Yep.
And Huddo, you can kick it off since you're so happy.
I think I said the same bloke a couple of weeks ago. I thought he was well and truly best on ground. He led the defence outstandingly. Ryan Burt had a hell of a game, and God, he had it under control. He's having a terrific year, and I think he's top 5 BNF easy at the moment.
I reckon he's leading it.
Ooh, bold call.
Defenders win games. That's all I have to say.
Dom, we'll go into yours because Ant can go last.
Well, it's hard to go past. I mean, I've got a soft spot for him. It's hard to go past Robbie. I reckon just clutch. You know, he kicks a few goals during the game. But you can't underestimate the game awareness in that moment too. Like he legit just knew to get it and kick a point to go in front. Like it made it look easy, but other guys would try and center it to someone top of the square to mark it, and maybe you don't get the point. But he just knew what he was doing straight away. So you can't. Yeah, he's just a gun. It
was awesome to watch. Clutch. He just changed it up this week with clutch behinds instead of goals. He's got to try something new, Robbie.
Yeah, that's right.
Is he the most clutch player you've played with? I know he has done a lot of it post your career, but do you think he's the clutch of them all?
Yeah, I reckon he'd have to be up there. He'd have to be up there. I mean, yeah, clutch, but also just turn a game on its head. Like, remember some of that. I mean, I reckon a final against Freo, kicked 3 in the third quarter, turned the game. I think one showdown, kicked 4 in one quarter. Like, he just has that ability to not only be clutch, but just, turn the game on its head. Not many guys can do it. Particularly, like, he's not the fit. He's not, he hasn't got the biggest motor. He's not the quickest. Hasn't got the biggest vertical leap, but he's just got other weapons that not many other guys have.
Yeah,
so true.
I completely agree.
Go on, Ant. Go on.
Look, I've had to toss a lot of players' names up because I thought it was a good performance by some of the boys. Pau Pepper, Ollie Wines, they were very good.
Yeah.
But he's coming back into the ranks this week. It's Travis Boak. And I've got a reason why. Not only can the man do so much already, he's a great man, great player, leader, legend. But to play with a glove after cutting your finger basically off is next level professionalism. And in Cairns, he made it look second rate. Like, he is my player of the week, hands down.
I do love the fact that he said that he can do everything, well, except apparently try and cook.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Probably needs to learn how to use a knife. But in saying that,
bit of rumour going around was just a paper cut. That's right. We'll put it
we will find out further.
Bogey's just put a bit of GST on the story, I reckon. Get a bit of sympathy. No, that's right.
GST.
He can do that. He can do it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, shit, that's good.
Paper cut.
Pick the right week to do it too.
Counting all that cash. All right, Hutto, it's time for the next segment, which is Obscure Port Adelaide Player. And I reckon you shall kick it off again.
I'm kicking it off again. Oh, no, I lucky.
Yeah. I think you've got your crimpy wins. You might as well have your time, son.
All right, well, my pick actually didn't play a game for Port Adelaide.
Ooh.
So he was on the list a couple of years. Would have been around the time that Dom was there as well. So he played 31 games for Essendon before making his way across. Robert Forstner.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
Robbie Forstner.
I think he just got absolutely wrecked by injuries, but I'm pretty sure he's now working at the Bombers as well.
He is, yeah. He was the bloody good table tennis player as well. He was the best table tennis player at the club during that period he was there.
Bloody hell.
But, he's one of those interesting ones because he was the ultimate professional. Like, he did everything right, but just his body would just break down. Like, and he looked like a specimen, mate. Like, he was ripped. He looked the part. He'd do everything professional, and then his body would just break down. And so he's one of those guys because you see other guys come in that are a little bit lazy, cut corners, they get soft tissue injuries, they do the right thing for a month, but then they lose their way again. But he was like legit day in, day out. And so he was one of those guys that we were just like, you actually feel really sorry for him. Just like, this guy just has no luck, and there's nothing more he can do. But he was pretty reserved though. He was a pretty quiet bloke. But yeah, I think, what was his nickname? His nickname was Two Dads, I think, because the Foster night.
Didn't Pittard cop that as well?
Hey?
I didn't Pittard cop that as well?
Yeah, Jasper cop that. That's probably why he changed it to one, but it's all right.
Jasper McMillan Pillard.
McMillan Pittard. So, Robbie Foster night. He was a ripper. He was a good guy.
Dom, did you actually have a obscure port player?
I reckon Wade Thompson.
Yes.
Oh, rate that.
Does he come up?
No.
Not yet.
Old Bullet, we used to call him. Bullet. He'd run, and he hated pre-season though. We had a real hard session at Grange one day, and I still see him around the place. He's a good bloke. We had at Grange cricket oval, I reckon, and he just couldn't get through it, and he was laying on the floor, and literally you could hear him moaning from about 100 metres away, and we'll get up, Bullet, get up, but he was just a character as well. But when he got the ball, we couldn't catch him. Like, he was just lightning. He was lightning. But yeah, he was good.
pretty sure Choco
Yeah.
said he was like the best youngster he'd ever seen at one stage.
Yeah, I think Choco got a bit excited too early, but no word of a lie though. If you had to come, there was a few times at training where we played like a 20-minute scratch match, match simulation, and he would legit just kick 3 or 4 goals in 5 minutes. Like and if he got the ball in space, it was unstoppable. So he was electrifying. But I think with AFL level, I think what Wade struggled a little bit was like there's a defensive side of it too, and it's not just as simple as getting the footy and doing your thing. But he was a lovable bloke. I think, and he still worked at the club until recently in the community role.
Yeah.
So he's sort of he's given a fair bit back to his community. He's a good bloke.
Yeah, definitely. I think he was one of the good guys, and I remember him playing against Hawthorn in that round 4 game, 2009, wearing the beautiful white. I can already see Hutto shaking the white lightning bolt Guernsey with the. Yeah,
gee, that was a beauty,
great.
wasn't it? That was a beauty.
So,
Can you comment on that, please, Dom? Because we had Tommy Logan last week say that he hasn't got the greatest eyesight, and he even thought that was shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know Tommy, because Tommy was colourblind, so for about 4 years he thought it was purple and white. Not, no, joking. He was playing for Freo. But I shouldn't laugh, but because when at training, this has gone off topic, but at training we used to have the different coloured bibs that you chuck on, because you do like 5v5, and have like yellow, red, blue, or purple, and then Tommy Logs, because we were like best mates. And while Choco or the coach was talking, you go, mate, this is yellow, isn't it? It's a yellow one, isn't it? Maybe like, yeah, it is yellow. It's yellow, just to help him out a little bit. But with the colour scheme. But that jumper was I don't know. I mean, you look at our jumper now, and it's just so good. And yeah, it was a bit of a moment in time, wasn't it? That one.
Yeah, we learned that it had a very unaffectionate name during the week. I think some of the people on Twitter let us know that apparently it looks like a couple of dolphins breeding, which once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Mate, that's quite a, we've got the Port River with dolphins in there. So,
there's a meaning to the meaning.
There's quite a meaning to it.
Yeah.
Trying to get away from the prison bars we're trying to go to a bit more earthy, mate, a bit more environmental with that jumper.
Save the Dolphins jumper. There we go.
Port River. Yeah.
And who have you got as your obscure player?
Speaking of playing the season 2006, he played 2 games, kicked 1 goal, and the 1 goal was in the 1 win he had. Speaking of Elijah Ware.
Oh.
Yes.
Noodles.
Noodles.
Yeah.
His name was Noodles. Remember he had the curly hair?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
His name was Noodles. Yeah.
At one game, he played. I think it was against West Coast.
Yeah.
2006. I think Sean Burgoyne got the 3 votes or something, and West Coast were top of the ladder. We were somewhere in the middle and won by 37 points because we kicked 10 goals, 27 or something.
He was good. He had a really good career at Centrals. I know the Gallon, and then I know the Gallons boys always spoke really highly of him, and yeah, he was a character. I think he kicked 5. He kicked 5 for Centrals one day, and we had recovery the next morning on the Sunday down at Alberton. And he came in. I think he celebrated the 5 goals pretty well the night before. And he's come in, and we're like, "Noodles, mate, 5 goals." He goes, "Yeah, brother. Like, someone called the fire brigade. I'm on fire." Like that is like Sunday morning at 9. It's Sunday morning, like 9 a.m. He's like, "Call the fire brigade. I'm on fire still." And he was classic. But he was once again a lovable bloke, and I guess one of my fondest memories of playing at the club was actually like playing with all the Indigenous boys. Like Choppy and the Burgoynes and Elijah, Wade Thompson, Motlop, and Gav, and all these guys when they got together, like you just wanted to be around them. Like they were just not only talented footy wise, Just good blokes, characters, and they actually made footy going to training good fun.
Oh, that's wicked. Elijah Ware. Bloody, that's a good throwback there. Yeah, because I think he won a couple of flags at Centrals too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he had a good career there. He really did.
I've pulled out all the stocks this week, Hutto. I've done my research this week, and we're not matching ever again. But speaking of lovable people, we go into one of the best segments we've ever come up with, Hutto.
Yes.
And we talk about a man that is basically our love child. And it's a segment we like to call Better Call Sal.
And Salopek finishes it.
Where we talk about Stephen Salopek and his greatest moments. And Dom, I reckon you'd have quite a few good stories about Stephen Salopek. So why don't you kick us off?
Oh, wow. Trying to think. Well, I remember when he did his Achilles. So he was really close with Brett Ebert, and Brett was obviously a character, good sense of humour. He's coming back from his Achilles, and which was obviously a trying time for Sal. And he coming back from the Achilles, it looks like he was running laps, and Ebo was there, and he's like, mate, take the rocks out of your boot. Because it looks like you're trying to run and you've got like a rock in your footy boot.
Oh.
And the physio's like, Sal, like, hey, and Brett's yelling out, mate, you got a rock in your footy boot. Looks like you're running with rocks in your footy boot. But look, Sal, I don't have a specific thing with Sal. I know when he first moved over, I remember Phil Walsh, just loved him. Thought he was like the best junior kid he's ever seen. So when I just remember Walsh's excitement knowing that Sal had been picked up by our club. I remember that, but I don't have anything really specific with old Sal.
That's good.
We like that. We like that story. His hair was probably our personal favourite of when he first came over, 2003, I think it was. But 2004, he rocked the echidna hair. That's the one.
That's right. Yeah, he was a confident young kid. He was a confident kid, and you got to remember, that's like nearly 20 years ago. I mean, Ginnivan did it, and he got whacked now. That was pretty brave of Sal to do that back then. But good on him.
Did it well with it. Hutto, did you have one?
I do. Unfortunately, we lost this game, but South stood up, which was good. Playing Carlton Footy Park in 2010, we led them at 3/4 time, then they ran over the top of us, which was a bit shit. But he kicked 3, and he kicked the last 2 goals of the game. Running hot in the third quarter, he kicked his second, and then he tried to keep us in the last, but we just couldn't come back with Carlton rampaging at that time. But that's mine, Ant. What about yours?
You couldn't have gone any sadder.
I know.
How you delivered that.
A loss is a loss.
Jeez. I'll bring it back for us, boys, because this one, he had a major role in this game. And I'm speaking of Showdown 30. We had a 66-point turnaround that night. Dom, I think you were captain. Yeah, 2011. You would have been captain then. And I don't think you actually played this game, if I'm right. You and Kane both didn't play. But Sal had 23, kicked a goal, and we turned around from having a goalless first quarter to ended up winning the game by nearly 40 points.
Yes. I remember that one fondly, actually.
Yeah, I remember that too, actually.
It's a good game. Great choice, Ant. Great choice. It's a good game.
Thank you. I just have my moments, Hutto. Did you play that one, Dom?
I was trying to remember. I don't know if 2011 was the year where I fractured my tibia. I reckon missed about 6-7 weeks. I don't know if it was that year. Might have been. Can't remember.
I've got the game up here. Yeah, you didn't play that one.
Obviously, if I played it, I must have played shit, because if I don't.
If you played good, you'd let us know.
None of us knew if we were out there. If I was out there, so it might be one of those ones we just don't talk about. It's like the 2007 grand final.
The result.
We decided not to bring that up. We spoke to Lugs about it last week, and we're just like, we're not doing that again.
No.
Good choice.
Jeez. Hutto, do you have any final things?
Oh, not really, but yeah, thanks for coming on, Dom. Really enjoyed it. But yeah, dead set, invite yourself on. So, like, if you wanted to come on, we're happy to have a chat with you anytime. But you've been a ripping guest, and thanks for all the stories, and thanks for your playing career too. It's been a joy.
No worries, boys. Thank you. Like I said, I've been wanting to come. It's an honour to come on. I've been wanting to come on for so long, and I'm happy that you guys reached out to me, not the other way around. Just keep an eye out for Brogues, though. I reckon once Brogues knows it, yeah. So me and Logs, I think, catching up with him tomorrow night. So if Brogues knows that we've done this podcast, you might get him. You might get a little message from him. You know,
I'll send you our numbers so he can give us a call.
Yeah. So no, thanks, boys. I reckon it's great what you do. Good to relive memories from the club and get past players back on board. So yeah, it's awesome. We need more guys like you around the place.
I appreciate that, Dom.
Don't say that. Hutto will just we'll both brag. You know, that's touching the heartstrings. I'm actually adding to your intro now. Pears on a Pod guest. So I'll put that on your Wikipedia.
Yeah.
You'll rise off the skies.
Yeah. No, it's good for chucking on there. Be my highlight of 2022.
Love that. Good.
And it's only May.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dom. Appreciate it.
Cheers, boys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.